So we're welcoming my dear friend Tony from Appaloo on stage.
Great
that
to
just
be here.
came in like 13 minutes ago. Good timing, my friend. How you doing?
Good. I'm a bit stressed out because I obviously forgot the test, so I needed to sprint to Alexanderplatz and get it done. But it all came in about 2 minutes before this started, so
Good timing.
all good. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Hello, everyone.
Well, the best thing you can do as a host of a panel, of a fireside chat, or whatever, is always ask stupid questions to the audience, right? So like, what do you think about blue and white and whatever? I'm not going to do that because it's never going to work. So speaking about not only Appaloo, but I want to give a little bit of context. What's the context of you? What's your background, Tony? And then as well for the people not knowing Appaloo, what's Appaloo?
For those who know me, know that I worked in hotels for 15 years in Berlin, so I have a strong hospitality background, sales, marketing, revenue, mostly in that area, reservation operations, and moved into tech about 5 years ago. Worked for Snapshot, which is now Shiji, then for a revenue management company called Pace that is also connected to Appaloo. We can actually advertise, right?
You can drop names.
Nike,
Adidas, Coca-Cola.
And joined Appaloo 1.5 years ago, and have found an amazing experience because I can still be in touch with hotels, which I'm very passionate about, and I'm having amazing discussions with hoteliers about building their tech stacks, about new hotels that come on the market, about migrations from old PMSs to new PMSs, complete tech stack changes. And yes, Appaloo is actually a platform, that was the second question, that has a completely different approach to hotel tech.
You guys believe me that I will not ask you questions, right?
I'm sure you're going to pop.
So just quickly, by raise of hands, who knows Appaloo? You don't?
Bring him up.
Bring up. No. Okay, so that's roughly 70%. So way to go for you, Tony. You have to do a better job. So, just kidding. So what did you change? Because obviously for everyone, the landscape changed in the last 2 years. We all had to adapt in a certain way to the changes in the market, to the stuff missing and whatever. What did Appaloo change from your perspective?
Well, first of all, it changed the architecture upon which the PMS is built, which is, I think, fundamental.
Explain that.
It's what we call a platform approach. It's like your telephone. It's really the best example to say. You have an operating system which covers the core operating processes in a hotel, and for everything else you can get apps and micro apps that have been programmed and are available on the App Store, either free or at very low cost, or higher costs, obviously. There are bigger programs that are connected to us. Thus, you can then build your own tech stack. And it has given the hospitality an amazing self-service approach and freedom to hoteliers to do stuff themselves rather than just wait for companies to service them.
What's the reaction from a, let's not call it community perspective, but from a user perspective from hotel side? How do they cope with that potential? How do they actually understand what you're offering, and do they understand on how to turn that around, or what means of help do they need?
It's a learning curve for sure. I mean, if you take a very traditional, old school hotel, I don't want to go into more profiling here, but you know what I mean. So you need some basic knowledge, obviously. You need to acquire knowledge, but that comes through time, and that comes through new generations coming in. Right? And funnily, we see that it's not the GM or the IT managers that have that build the tech stacks of the hotels. It's actually the younger generations. It's the people at front desk that are being empowered, or people in sales and marketing, younger generation are being empowered to go out there and look for the right solutions to cover processes, not just for themselves, but the hotel.
So typically speaking, and that I think that speaks for any provider out there, that has a PMS or that has a platform or a marketplace or whatever. What's your advice? What's your encouragement as well? How should hoteliers start to build their own tech stack, to build their own landscape?
Well, first of all, it's not a short journey, right? So it's actually you're doing a big thing if you're doing that. And no matter how easy it is to set up Appaloo within 2 or 3 weeks and go live, there's more involved than just that. And most hoteliers don't just touch the PMS, they use it as an occasion to look at all components of the tech stack. This has just gotten louder. My advice, humble advice, would be to analyze the processes, see where it hurts, and work out these areas that you want to be fixed. And don't lose sight of them, because there will be things that will change. Because the new thing is not going to be identical with the old thing. It will cover the things you wanted to cover, but there might be things that are different. So you need to keep an open mind and not get caught up in micro processes that might be just a tad bit different than before, because you're covering all these other areas that give you operational efficiency, and in the end you end up saving money as well.
Oh, well.
Know your priorities. That's, I guess, what sums this up.
Gone are the fantastic times when I was still working with Wilco down there at Micros Fidelio. Yes, you, Wilco. And we had time for 2 weeks to install stuff on site. So you mentioned that self-service approach before. Well, obviously, we sometimes work together on projects as well, and we speak to hoteliers, and sometimes they want to do stuff on by themselves. Sometimes they are outsourcing it to someone. What's the feedback from the market? Are they willing to do that, and are they capable of doing that from a maturity point of view? Obviously, there's always one who's not and one who is, but like from a maturity point of view, how do they approach that? Do they feel confident in doing that?
Yes. Yes,
Good
very much so. Very much so, because it's well documented, it's easy to grasp, it's easy to use. The user interface is much easier to use than any other. However, there are hoteliers that are not overwhelmed, but take a strategic decision to outsource that. So the setup work, the whole building of tech stacks, we have consultants such as your outsourcing teams that we hand projects over from hoteliers that do not really want to spend the time to A, set up Appaloo, B, connect all the third parties, and they outsource it.
So what's the ideal starting point when I want to go out as a hotelier and start creating my new tech stack? What's the first thing I need to approach? And classically speaking, obviously it was always the PMS first, and then there's everything behind it, whatever was possible. There's no interface to HotelNet solutions. Okay, then we have to pick someone else. So what's the approach currently? How does that change?
I think what happened in the industry is that the focus shifted from PMS, so it's not PMS-centric anymore, because PMSs, as we all know, covered a lot of areas, and still do actually. The new generation actually covers just one part, which is the main operational core elements that you need to be covered from a PMS, and the rest is left to third parties. So the first thing, I guess, that changes is that you look at the area of CRM, of distribution, of PMS, of POS systems, if you have F&B outlets, with equal importance. And you try to make those match. The second thing is, do you have components?
Hold on, I think that's pretty important, that change, and Martin, I hope everyone is aware of what that means, because that changes the entire process, right?
It does, but it gives, and it gives so much freedom, not but it gives freedom, because you can actually now look at these components and go, okay, how do I make them stick in an integrated way that everything communicates with one another, and there are no data silos, because that's, at the end of the day, what all hoteliers want. We haven't spoken about this yet, but automation and working in an integrated data environment is actually the key to unlocking all this operational efficiency. Right. And by being able to connect all these components, you do just that.
We'll have a panel later on with Sebastian from LFPI, with Markus from SmartMans, and with Nasiri from Strife, formerly known as Code to Order.
Still getting used to that.
And that's going to go into operations and how technology changes operations. So that's going to be a deep dive on that. We had a call. I can't see where we are speaking or not behind the mask. We had a call 2 weeks ago in preparation of another panel we'll host in 3 weeks, and you dropped the Appaloo Community. Walk me through the Appaloo Community. What is that? What's going to be the potential behind that?
That is actually the most significant launch, which actually exceeds also feature launches, I think, because it's of amazing benefit to the whole tech community that works with or around Appaloo. It's basically just a communication platform for all users, customers that we have, to communicate with one another, to share best practice, to drop a question and get a few comments, to get in touch with coders that can program additional modules for them, because Appaloo is completely open. You can connect anything if you have the right staff to build it. And obviously they communicate with us. So it's the Appaloo community is basically the second level support, basically.
Yeah.
But first level will be us. Second level will be hoteliers helping themselves.
As someone working with websites, right? I feel like it's a little bit similar to what we can see for, let's say, WordPress programming, whatever. There's a network of developers that help each other out. Where do I put this HTML or whatsoever? And I had a glimpse into the system. It looks really promising and nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, by the way, you guys can get ready if you have questions, not to me, but to Tony, about Appaloo, about the latest developments, about the change of technology. Either I will come around with a microphone or someone from my team, I don't know. Most likely me. Everyone is gone. And so, I have two more questions. There's a big potential with Appaloo, as far as I understand, and I spoke as well with Ulis, who's running around here somewhere. There, from Numa. So there's a big potential when it comes to Appaloo in building your own stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And as I mentioned, we will have Markus from SmartMats tonight on the panel as well. And you had mentioned in the pre-call their example of creating a BI tool based on your technology, but using someone else. Walk us that way.
Well, it's just another module, really, that you can build on top of Appaloo. There are so many modules that you can build. You can basically reach any data point in Appaloo. That's the bottom line. Now, everybody can figure out from there what possibilities that opens. So a BI tool will be just one application that pulls data, throws it into a data pool, and then makes it available for meta use to be pulled up and displayed in different varieties with different dimensions and units, just a BI tool. So this is just one process. We have a few people that we recommend for that have done stuff for us. SmartMans is actually a good example for that, because they had done just that, I believe. They've given a briefing about what kind of reporting they want to see and how often, at which frequency, and had it built. And yeah, so that's the BI tool, really.
Okay, interesting. I'm already starting to think about what I could
build. We have one actually that is also embedded in Appaloo, which is from a smart revenue management company down in Baden-Württemberg, I believe, who have a deep integration with us. And they've actually embedded not just their BI tool, but the whole revenue management system and the yielding, the price optimization algorithm in Appaloo. So imagine that's actually how far it can go in terms of deep integrations with third parties. Not just data flowing back and forth one or two way, but actually the program reappearing in your own user interface in Appaloo, in your PMS. That's really cool. All right.
If I would be smarter, maybe I could build something as well, or I need some 17 programmers.
I can't code myself, so.
Obviously, it's always great to talk about the nice things on this world and all the things we can do and where we are strong. But we are a very honest society here. So we tend to speak about weaknesses as well. So what's the weak spot of you guys? Not personally, obviously.
Well, no system is complete, obviously, and we're in our 5th year of operation. And in those 5 years, we've started out with the basics, which is a lean, mean PMS that obviously doesn't cover all the micro steps that the matured systems in the market cover. In the last 5 years, we've developed what we believe to be always the most important things that customers need. And we continue covering weak spots. I mean, the weak spot actually depends on, I'm evading the question now.
What?
It actually depends on now I'm leaning back too. See, I'm defensive. No, but it depends really on the eye of the beholder, of the hotel. So what kind of operation do you have and what do you need? Are you meeting an events hotel that has 300 group requests per day and tons of group arrivals? Yes, there are actually weaknesses in the system for sure, which we're covering now with group routing and group. We're bringing in the whole group logic, so we're opening more possibilities for hotels that work with more group business. That was actually one of the key areas that we're covering right now. And then there's small, micro areas, and it depends really on the hotels. The way you can set up products for some hotels is a bit problematic. The way you can differentiate with between different breakfast prices. At the end of the day, the hotel, you need to take a decision. Is this something that touches upon my core main processes, i.e. is it a deal breaker? Or is it something actually which I can make smart changes in my operation to still reach my goal of becoming more efficient?
By show of hands, how many hoteliers are here? Who is representing a hotel here? 50%? Okay.
Come on.
They're all shy. Come on. Julius, come on, raise your hand. Your hotel as well, technology. Okay, I'll come to Patrick in a second because he has a question as well. And guys, get ready and just do a little hand sign or whatever if you have a question. The reason I ask who is a hotelier here is as well, who's the typical Appaleo customer? Who's the perfect customer using your solution, if that exists?
We're becoming more and more broad, covering more and more sort of hotel operations, hotel types.
Yeah. But what's your sweet spot?
I think we're obviously Appaleo can play, or you can reach the most benefits with Appaleo if you want to reach a high degree of automation and digitalization, and that covers obviously limited service to no service concepts. They can use Appaleo off the dot right away, right? We have tons of full service hotels that use us as well. So I guess everybody can use Appaleo and build a tech stack around it. I think it's more a case of looking at the hotels that currently are not satisfied with Appaleo, and that's bigger MICE and incentive hotels. It's hotels that have huge amounts of outlets, i.e. large resorts, where we are coming up with solutions, either our own or we're getting someone to program modules that can then reappear and be activated in Appaleo. But the sweet spot obviously is if your goal is to automate processes, to reach more efficiency, and have less staff available 24 hours taking care of guests, then you'll find a solution or solutions with Appaleo.
Guys, do we have a microphone for the audience? Laura, could you get it to Patrick? So, we have 5 more minutes. We have a microphone going out. So for everyone looking for a new PMS or that always wanted to understand who is Appaleo, obviously there's Antonia as well from Muse, right? So, and there's the guys from ProTel as well. What? What? But I'm on stage. No. So, Patrick,
Hi, Tony. Yeah, Patrick from Revenate. My question is concerning the fact that a lot of hoteliers I'm talking to, they're looking at, innovating the whole tech stack. So, of course, one big component is the PMS. Then lots of times they're also looking at what we do, guest data platform, CRM. So the question that comes up there a lot is, in the process of replacing, exchanging, innovating, what do they prioritize? And for us, it's always interesting because, of course, we as Revenate, we work with the data that we're getting from you guys. So if I'm thinking about guest lifecycle communication, the right upsells, the right language, we're benefiting from all the data that's in the PMS. So now when a hotel or hotel group is thinking about switching, there's always the question, well, we have 10 years of historic guest data. Of course, that's what we're feeding off to do the right personalized upsells, greetings, whatever. So for me, the question to you would be, how do you deal with that? So if a hotel comes and says, I'm going to rip out my old PMS and I want to get on a new one.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Are you guys able to actually use some of that historic data, or are you just pulling in future bookings? What's your capability?
We found solutions to cover that, but the short answer is no. Cloud-based PMSs generally don't upload data, historic data, transactional data. But there are ways of getting it uploaded, and we have found ways through partners that have micro apps, like profile manager apps that we can integrate. And if the hotel doesn't throw 25,000 guest data sets at us, then it's possible. However, we suggest at that point to look for a proper CRM tool. Right now, many times hoteliers just want to see their guest data, and they say, well, we just want the profiles, and we want to see how often Mr. Schmidt was here. Yeah, but why do you want to see it? You want to capitalize on that data, right? Because why else would you collect that data? Just because if the phone rings and Mr. Schmidt is there, then you need to know how many times he was there. That's not really the reason. The reason is that you want to capitalize at some point and do your marketing and communicate with the guest. And so it's actually a great way to lift the whole data management and guest data management topic on a different level. And this is where obviously CRM solutions such as yourself come in, yeah.
Okay, thanks. That's on my point, the way I would also suggest it.
Anyone else? That's always the fear of someone hosting a panel or a fireside chat. No one wants to know anything because it's not really interesting what you're talking about. No, just kidding. Alrighty. Well, as most people here know, I can talk forever. That's okay. So.
I thought that was it.
No, that wasn't it. Not yet. Not yet. So, obviously, we as a HIC or Open Smile, we look into the industry. We speak to people like Diana from Welcome Hotels to understand better what hotels need. We want to understand what the technology partners are doing. We kind of try to be in front of the market, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, understanding what's coming next. So what's coming next? Surprise.
What's coming next?
From an Appaloo perspective.
Okay, let me get into this answer by saying what actually just happened in the last year or two. I think the whole cloud PMS platform approach actually stepped from being experimental to progressive mainstream. And this trend will definitely continue. Things will become more integrated. There'll be more solutions out there. There'll be more people providing freelance tech solutions to bespoke solutions to hotels that need something specialized for their needs. And this will just continue and keep moving on, because I see hotel companies that 2 years ago wouldn't even think about, and hoteliers who wouldn't even think about going that way. And now they've actually.
How come? What changed? Obviously,
it's the mindset that changed. Well, two things. Obviously, COVID changed the market, and everybody had to adapt, because from the one side, guests were actually demanding new processes, and from the inside, operationally, you had to become more efficient because staff wasn't available like it was available before. So that was the main reason of the last 2 years that really got a few hoteliers moving that were very conservative in their way of doing things and wouldn't even touch tech, to becoming, we call them pragmatic innovators. And no shame in that. It's a very pragmatic approach to innovate your tech stack. Right? And there'll be more of those, lifting people up from sort of sleeping beauties in terms of tech to a more innovative environment. And the others that have already been in pragmatic innovators and have already taken that step, they will actually move on ahead and move further.
Well, from my point of view, in addition to that, proud is the wrong word, but I'm really happy after such challenging 2 years to see so many positive faces as well, and basically telling the people out there as well, we are still here, right? And we're still evolving. And we see it as well with our customers, with the people we speak to, that they have this new openness, right? And they, for the first time since many, many decades, they really had time to sit back, look at what they are doing, and look for what are the innovation
Absolutely,
points.
I think, and also what will change is that hotel stacks will obviously change because, like we said before, you look at your techs in components. It's not just one program covering 5, 6 different things. It's 6 different programs covering 6 things. You will, and there'll also be more companies that will actually build their own user interface, which has already happened on a few occasions with our customers. They've just taken Appaleo as a transactional platform, and the staff is not using our user interface anymore. They've built their layer on top of it.
Right.
Plus, obviously, all the modules that you can connect that you have being programmed for you. So I think this will move away from experimental cases and hotel projects that are limited service and that need high scalability to actually larger groups as well. That will move away from clunky big PMS solutions to something much more flexible. Obviously, then challenging us in terms, and we're being challenged now by larger groups as well, to not so much to change what we do, a few features, yes, that we need to do ourselves, but more to connect to partners that they already have in distribution, in CRM, and to make, and so they can actually connect the dots.
All right, I'm getting told we are running late already. Fantastic. Well, so thank you, Tony, for your time. Thank you for letting us in on Appaleo and the next developments and stuff. And I can only emphasize enough, people, I can ask questions, right, all day. But this makes more fun, obviously, if you guys get involved, if you ask questions, if you're, especially from a hotel perspective, if you are involved in new plannings, and think about new stuff you want to go on, and you always thought about, I don't understand what Appaleo is, or I don't understand why the student hotels host students, or whatever, right? So please get involved, ask questions, save a little bit of my voice. I would like to say hello later on at 9 p.m. still with an existing voice. So thanks again, Tony, for your 30 minutes, and well, we'll switch to the next fireside discussion. Thank you so much.